you join us in standing as you are able? As we gather today, celebrating the inauguration of Dr. James MacLaren, the 19th president of Lebanon Valley College, please join me now in this moment of prayer, if you so choose. Gracious God, it is with great joy that we come together on this day, a day that is historic in both the life of a college and in the life of an individual. For 155 years, this institution has been given the opportunity to transform lives. As the minds and the hearts of our students have been shaped and molded in profound ways, so too have their understandings of themselves and our world been stretched and broadened. We give thanks for the courage and wisdom of our founders who were prompted with the first vision of what LVC might be. And we give thanks, too, for the privilege that it is to be part of this rich history. The LVC story is one we hold dear. Today, we mark yet another milestone in that story as we celebrate the life of the 19th leader who will guide us through our next chapter. For every way that you have equipped James MacLaren for this role in this season, we give thanks. We invoke now your Spirit, praying that this occasion be one filled with optimism and meaning, and that it boldly mark the beginning of our new narrative, one that we pray will richly and deeply impact the lives of many people and our world. Amen. Please be seated.
Good afternoon and welcome, members of the Board of Trustees, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends of Lebanon Valley College. I am Dr. Monica Cowart, founding Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, and it is my great honor and greater pleasure to welcome you to the inauguration of the 19th President of Lebanon Valley College, Dr. James M. MacLaren. Over 155 years of empowering students for a life of learning, citizenship, and success, Lebanon Valley College has performed this August ritual only 18 times previously. That rarity alone marks today as significant. But an inaugural ceremony is itself significant, as it is a beginning. And Plato noted more than 2 millennia ago that, quote, "the beginning is the most important part of the work," end quote. To mark its importance, we will proceed with the traditional pomp and circumstance, as Dr. MacLaren is formally invested with the authority and the symbols of the presidency, officially beginning his term of office. Take a moment to observe the varied colors and styles of regalia from colleges and universities that are worn by our faculty, trustees, and administrators today. These robes are a reminder that this ceremony connects all of us in higher education to our founding forebears in the medieval university. An unbroken thread across the continents and the centuries of those who dedicate their lives and careers to the betterment of our world through the education of the next generation of students. But we will also proceed with admiration, imagination, and joy as we begin what will be a new era of unbounded success for Lebanon Valley College, our current students, and all the students yet to find their futures here in Annville. Today, we invest Dr. MacLaren not only with the authority of his office, but also with the duty of representing LVC. To the public's mind, he will embody our institution, our history, our values, our aspirations, and our successes. The presidential medallion to be placed around his neck symbolizes the honor of his presidency, as well as the weight of his responsibility, a reminder of all he takes on when he takes the oath of office. Today, we all join an inaugural ceremony to celebrate a significant day in our history and a significant leader for our institution. It is at this moment that we express our steadfast support for Dr. MacLaren as he prepares to guide us in carrying out the mission over the months and years to come. So with this charge upon us, members of the Board of Trustees, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends of Lebanon Valley College, let us begin. We now turn to hear the official greetings from representatives of the LVC community. It is my pleasure to welcome Elyse Rogers, Chair of the LVC Board of Trustees and a member of the class of 1976. Thank you.
As an alumna of the class of 1976 and chair of the Board of Trustees, it is an honor to speak on behalf of the board as we inaugurate Lebanon Valley College's 19th president. This ceremony is an opportunity to reflect on the distinguished history of LVC and to imagine the future of our beloved community. Since arriving in July 2020, Dr. James M. MacLaren has already demonstrated his passion for student success and commitment to collaboration. Persevering through the challenges of the pandemic, he has energized the LVC community around a new vision and strategy that will advance LVC ever forward. President MacLaren, on behalf of the Board of Trustees of Lebanon Valley College, we are delighted to welcome you and your family to LVC and to have this long overdue celebration. The Lebanon Valley College Board of Trustees imagines a bright future together with you leading the way. It is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Joel Kline, LVC class of 1989, and Professor of Design, Media, and Technology to offer greetings on behalf of the faculty.
Good afternoon. My name is Joel Kline. I am the chair of the Faculty Steering Committee, which is the Faculty Governance Committee at LVC. I'm pleased to welcome Dr. MacLaren on behalf of the faculty. Normally, I would say it's a bit weird to welcome someone who you've been working besides for the last 13 or 14 months. I'm not sure if you're like me, but COVID has recalibrated my weirdness and my chronology kind of scale. And since we've worked with President MacLaren for the first 12 months via Zoom, it feels comfortable to actually be here in person and welcome him on behalf of the faculty. President MacLaren was hired and introduced to the college community as someone who helped to lead Tulane through the Hurricane Katrina crisis. And he immediately came here and used that same management style to review many different options for decisions, seek consensus, and promote transparency during the pandemic. And that's been a guiding force in this institution. The Faculty Steering Committee has been invited to have a seat at the President's staff meeting table, weekly sessions, and the President has opened dialogue with the FSC directly about decisions and important events affecting the college and COVID protocol and policy. We applaud that collaboration and look forward to it in the future. Unfortunately, not every decision has been met with unanimous faculty approval, and that's to be expected as the President balances the needs of many constituents and his fiduciary responsibility. The President's proposal to rename College Avenue to Bourbon College Avenue and Sheridan to Canal Sheridan Street was not met with faculty approval. James, the Bourbon really didn't cause much of a problem, but there's no canal anywhere near Sheridan, and we are a faculty of precision, and so that was a deal breaker. All kidding aside, every good leader begins a new opportunity with the assumption that their stakeholders want the best for the institution. In our case, our faculty are passionate about our students, committed to this college, and fierce about the ideals of shared governance. President MacLaren has acknowledged this faculty passion and demonstrated an inclusive leadership style during this COVID crisis that values our opinion. We thank him for that. If our collective response from the college is any indication, we're on the road to a successful future with James as our driver. That road probably has a German-sounding name, not a French-sounding name, but we're very happy that you're driving. On behalf of the faculty, it's my pleasure to welcome you to LVC. Now, please welcome to the lectern Julia Resele, LVC Class of 2022 and Student Government President.
Good afternoon. It is an honor to be here this afternoon to celebrate the inauguration of Dr. MacLaren. On behalf of the students at Lebanon Valley College, I would like to officially welcome the MacLarens to the LVC community. When I first met President MacLaren, what struck me most was his authenticity. He conveys a genuine interest in the well-being of the students. Although his first year at Lebanon Valley College was quite unconventional, he managed and continues to prioritize the health and safety of LVC students, staff, and faculty. It is our hope as students to continue to cultivate a community that cares for each other. In a society that stands divided on so many levels, we want LVC to be a community united. Moving forward, we hope that President MacLaren can provide the leadership to accomplish this unity. As President Kennedy once said, divided, there is little we can do. However, together we will be able to accomplish great things. I am now pleased to welcome Sue Sarisky Jones, LVC Class of 1992 and Director of Alumni and Family Engagement, to deliver greetings from the LVC staff.
Good afternoon. I am honored to bring greetings from the staff of Lebanon Valley College. President MacLaren, your time here started with great uncertainty in the world, in our country, and here in the Lebanon Valley. We were proud of our student-centered residential campus, alive with learning, sports, and music, where the community interacted face-to-face. People held doors for each other. Everyone said hello as they passed on the quad, and certainly where we welcomed our newest members in person. As staff accustomed to doing a lot with a little and wearing many hats, we buckled down with you through the disruptions of COVID. We worked hard to serve students and provide the LVC experience in the least LVC-like circumstances possible, while also imagining LVC's future with you, Hopeful and optimistic, we would emerge from these challenges changed, but stronger and planning strategically for the future. President MacLaren, 1 week ago, you opened your first in-person homecoming weekend at the annual Blue and White Club golf tournament. A crowd watched as you stood 50 feet away from the hole for the putting contest, putting first to give one lucky golfer the line and a chance at $5,000. The crowd cheered when you nearly sank the putt. The golfer followed your line closely, hitting just past the hole. President MacLaren, though not a golfer, you stood confidently over that putt with the crowd watching intently. You displayed poise and humor as you showed the path to success. Much like that morning on the golf course, you are leading the way out of challenging times and into an exciting future. On behalf of the staff of Lebanon Valley College, we are grateful for your steady guidance. We imagine and we look forward with you as members of your team to leading LVC boldly into the future. I am now pleased to welcome Bob Johns, LVC class of 1975 and chair of the Lebanon Valley College Leadership and Alumni Council, to offer greetings from the alumni.
On behalf of the alumni and families of Lebanon Valley College, it is my honor to welcome you, Dr. MacLaren, and your family to Lebanon Valley College. It is great to see you in person, and all of you all look great out there. President MacLaren, you've done an incredible job steering the LVC ship through this precarious time in history. The alumni and friends of the college are excited about what comes next. The students of today and tomorrow will have bright, meaningful, and successful lives, largely because of their LVC education, which only gets better and better. We are here to support you and the LVC community in moving our beloved institution ever forward and always together. The alumni are all in on imagining the future. We welcome you and your family as official Dutchmen. Go President MacLaren, and go LVC. And now, please enjoy the inauguration fanfare for brass quintet composed by Justin Morrell, Ph.D. and Associate Professor of Music, and performed by our superb brass quintet.
Good evening and hello, Lebanon Valley College. I am Dr. Felicia Brown Haywood, and on Monday, I officially start as LVC's first Associate President of Diversity, Vice President of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Institutional Success. It's so great to be here. And it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, a dear friend and colleague of President MacLaren, Dr. Rebecca Mark. Dr. Mark is the director of the Institute of the Women's Leadership at Rutgers University, professor in the Department of Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies at Rutgers University. She previously served as the chair of the English department, associate dean, and the director for the Center of Academic Equity at Tulane University. She is a scholar and professor whose research addresses Southern writing and cultural representations of trauma. Her books include Dragon's Blood, Feminist Intertextuality in Eudora Welty's fiction, and Erzat's America, Hidden Traces, Graphic Texts, and Mending of Democracy. Professor Mark is presently completing The Radical Welty, a private address. Dr. Mark was a posse mentor, the founding executive director of the Newcomb College Institute at Tulane University, and a founding member of the Deep South Regional Humanities Center. She received the Public Humanities Achievement Award from the Mississippi Humanities Council for directing the Civil Rights Conference Unsettling Memories, and the White's Presidential Fellow for teaching, and served as the Greenberg Family Professor in Social Entrepreneurship at Tulane. Please join me in welcoming this accomplished scholar and esteemed colleague of President MacLaren's, Dr. Rebecca Mark.
Thank you, James, for inviting me to speak today. It is wonderful to see you, Gina and Emily and Meg and Carolyn. Thank you to the Inauguration Committee, which has kept me informed every step of the way. And thank you to this beautiful college for inviting me as a guest speaker. You, all of you, the students, faculty, staff, alumni, and Trustees of Lebanon Valley College are very lucky indeed. Today, you are inaugurating as the 19th president of this distinguished 155-year-old institution for higher learning, a man who already has and will continue to do you proud. As you begin the journey of fulfilling your new strategic plan, Imagine LVC, I will help you imagine what your new president, who is not so new anymore, will bring to Lebanon Valley College. You have already experienced his steady, inspiring leadership throughout this pandemic. You have already found out what I have known for over 30 years of being colleagues with James. James MacLaren is not only a brilliant physicist, President MacLaren is not only a beloved, inspiring teacher. Professor MacLaren is not only a terrific administrator, chair of the physics department, associate provost, acting dean of liberal arts and sciences, founding dean of Newcomb Tulane College at Tulane University, provost at St. Xavier University in Chicago, and now president of Lebanon Valley College. James is first and foremost an empathetic human being. Just imagine. This might not sound like much, but in this world spiraling into violence because we cannot understand each other, challenged by climate change, controlled by a small percentage of people with too much of the world's wealth, in this often troubling and always challenging time, being empathetic is everything. James is a person who understands the complexity of being a student in 2021, who cares about the professional life of his faculty, who considers the conflicting demands of professional and family life, who worries about the intractable challenges and problems facing this next generation of young scholars. James is a person who plans with care for all of the challenges of higher education, the ability to think critically, a commitment to a caring community, and the practical application of new knowledge. James's scholarly achievements are truly exemplary. We sometimes forget when we are celebrating a new president that he earned his place on this stage. Imagine a young scholar who, after attending Cambridge University, studied the electronic properties of catalyst surfaces at Imperial College London and earned a Ph.D. in condensed matter physics. His research focused on the electronic structure of materials, particularly layered magnetic materials. His collaborative research demonstrated that spin-dependent tunneling between two epitaxial layers of iron separated by magnesium oxide, this is the English language, could lead to a remarkably sensitive read head for magnetic hard drives. If you did not fully comprehend this area of his expertise, you can read his article determining the anisotropic exchange coupling of CrO2 via first principles density functional theory calculations, in which his team investigated the magnetic structure of CrO2 by considering 3 near-site CR-CR exchange interactions. We may not know what he is talking about, but the United States Department of Energy did, and they recognized James' early scholarship in this field with an outstanding scientific accomplishment in metallurgy and ceramics. And I don't think it's the ceramics that we think about. President MacLaren has published a combined 150 peer-reviewed articles, reviews, books, and presented 22 invited papers at national and international conferences. We mere mortals stand awed, but don't worry. James is first and foremost a human being. Just imagine. When Hurricane Katrina devastated Tulane University and our beloved city, New Orleans, James hunkered down with the team in Houston to rebuild. The university emerged from the crisis with a new college named Newcomb Tulane College. Better get that Newcomb in there. Newcomb Tulane College. And as the founding dean, James welcomed wary parents and students back with open arms and detailed plans. As the founding director of the newly created Newcomb College Institute, the legacy of Newcomb College, I collaborated with James often. James, who was raising 3 girls, knew the importance of women's education and respected and supported the plans we were making to meet the needs of our grieving Newcomb alumni. Throughout the years, James and I plotted and planned together at Tulane University. We shared a professional dedication to diversity, inclusion, and racial and gender equity. Under his leadership of Newcomb Tulane College, he created the Center for Academic Equity. In his own words, one of the things I'm proudest of is the work that the Center for Academic Equity has done. This university has not until recently put a high-level focus on supporting college accessibility and supporting diversity inclusion in the student body. What we want to do is make sure we continue that trajectory by helping the students here and help the students he did. James helped conceptualize, find funding for, and advocate for the establishment of the Center for Academic Equity. As the director of the center, it was exciting to design new solutions for our students with a dean who always had our back and transformed the idea of equity into real equity. The CAE served all underrepresented students, first-generation college students, students of color, and LGBTQ students. Several of our students struggled with introductory courses in calculus and, yes, James, physics, and often fell into difficult academic probation situations entirely because of lack of adequate high school preparation, no fault of their own. We all knew that we could go to James at any time of the day and ask him to advocate for a student. The challenges were staggering and the real-life consequences of our decisions for our students critical. James made sure that we would be able to help every single student in need of a flight home to take an extra required course, to secure funding to continue the program, to secure course books, take a summer course, and on and on. It may be a cliche, but no problem was too small or too big for James to address when it came to students' needs. James, I want you to know I was just down in New Orleans, and your efforts have borne fruit. The beautiful new center in the beautiful new space is fully staffed, received several large donations, and now is an integral part of the undergraduate experience at Tulane. LVC, our dean, now your president, had the imagination, the vision, and the understanding of social justice to commit to the CAE. So many students have followed their own dreams because James did not give up on them. James knew the students' names, celebrated their successes, and showed up for every program, dinner, event, and graduation. Often, when I went to look for James, I found him meeting with a student in his physics class. I do not remember physics being the most popular class when I was in college, but with James as the teacher, students loved their physics courses. I think awesome was the word I heard repeated most frequently. James MacLaren has never and will never give up his love for teaching. A college president who excels at teaching. Just imagine. For several years, Dean MacLaren taught an honors colloquium entitled Relativity, Einstein, and the Quantum World for first semester honors students, focused on the interaction between scientific concepts and society at large. And you already know that your president is a fully grounded human being who loves his family. Of all the experiences James and I shared together, it was my distinct pleasure to be a swim team mom and watch James and Gina cheer on Emily, Meg, and Carolyn. Gina and James and I traveled together to such illustrious destinations as Sulphur, Louisiana, for weekends spent watching our children swim backstroke or butterfly for 36.39 seconds, and then sit by the side of the pool for 5 hours until the next 35.63 seconds. James often watched from the bleachers, clutching a stack of papers he was grading or administrative issues he was reviewing, but he never missed a meet. James is a human being who just happens to be density functional theory brilliant, an extraordinary administrator, and an amazing fundraiser. I ask you this: who has a classroom and a garden named after them when they're still alive? Seriously. Donors endowed the James M. MacLaren Classroom and MacLaren Garden at Mussafer Hall, the home of academic support services, in his honor. Our dear friend and Associate Dean of Newcomb College, Molly Travis, who worked with James, wrote at his going-away party, "James is among the kindest people I have ever met. A gentle person, compassionate and generous, who celebrated the successes of his staff and supported them in times of personal stress and loss. I knew that I could be honest and candid with him without his reacting defensively. He always listened productively. This is such an important quality in a leader. What a joy to work for someone who is secure in his skin, sanguine, balanced, devoted to his family, and grounded in the importance of life beyond the campus." People at Tulane told me that I should ask him to tell one of his baffling physics jokes, but I think we will skip that. I will say, however, that people at Tulane are in this room. If you had asked everybody whose life James had changed to come to this inauguration and it were not COVID, you would have had hundreds of people here. He touched so many people's lives in New Orleans and Tulane. I will end with 2 quotes that inspire me in the fight to make higher education accessible to all. Quotes I think James will appreciate. "An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of all humanity." Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. And it is time for parents to teach young people early on that in diversity there is beauty and there is strength. Maya Angelou. So go on, imagine what you would like Lebanon Valley College to become. James MacLaren, your 19th president, will take you there. James MacLaren is my dear friend, and I am so overjoyed that he is being inaugurated as the 19th president of Lebanon Valley College on this crisp autumn day in October on this beautiful campus. Congratulations, James. Congratulations, Lebanon Valley College.
President James M. MacLaren, by virtue of the authority granted to me by Lebanon Valley College and the Board of Trustees, I entrust to you the Charter of Lebanon Valley College. This document establishes our institution as a place for students to imagine, create, and become the very best versions of themselves. The seal of Lebanon Valley College includes the motto adopted in 1906, Libertas per Veritatem, the truth shall set you free. I now commit Lebanon Valley College's Presidential Medallion to you as a caretaker of the enduring commitment of this institution to knowledge, truth, meaning, and care for one another. President MacLaren, the Lebanon Valley College community is honored to have you lead us in achieving our vision while staying true to our mission and core values. We have every confidence you will guide us toward the future we have imagined together. I invite fellow trustee and alumnus Dr. Carol Missimer to the lectern.
Good afternoon. It is my great honor to present to you and the global LVC community the 19th president of Lebanon Valley College, Dr. James M. MacLaren. Dr. MacLaren is an award-winning physicist and passionate advocate for student success. He and his wife, Gina, have been married for 27 years. Emily and Meg, their two oldest daughters, are graduates of Tulane University. Their youngest, Caroline, is a junior at Villanova University. You might spot James walking the family dog, Luna, around campus or tending to his beehives at Kreiderheim. Born in London, President MacLaren earned a bachelor's and master's in natural sciences from Churchill College at University of Cambridge, UK. He went on to study the electronic properties of catalyst surfaces at Imperial College London, earning a Ph.D. in condensed matter physics. He began his academic career at Tulane University in New Orleans, where he worked for 28 years, rising through the faculty ranks to become the chair of the Department of Physics, associate provost, and then acting dean of the Liberal Arts and Sciences faculty. He created the Tulane Interdisciplinary Experience Semester, or TIDES, a signature of the Tulane first-year experience that brings together small groups of students and faculty to explore academics and the city of New Orleans from multiple academic perspectives. In 2005, Dr. MacLaren collaborated remotely with his colleagues to develop and implement the Renewal Plan, a roadmap for Tulane to reopen and rebuild after Hurricane Katrina. He was appointed the founding dean of Newcomb-Tulane College, which unites students in those schools offering undergraduate programs to form a holistic experience to the university's recovery. At Newcomb-Tulane, Dr. MacLaren established the Center for Academic Equity to support traditionally underrepresented and first-generation students. He also integrated academic and career advising, introduced career development courses into the curriculum, and created professional development opportunities for students. He exceeded fundraising targets, setting a record in 2015-16 of more than $7.8 million in gifts and grants and pledges, and obtained funding for scholarships and diversity initiatives such as Posse and College Track. Dr. MacLaren received the Tulane University Award for Excellence in Undergraduate Teaching in 1999. Tulane recognized him as an honorary alumnus in 2015 and named the James M. MacLaren Classroom and MacLaren Garden at Musafer Hall the home of academic support services in his honor. In 2018, donors MacLaren had worked with as Dean of Newcomb-Tulane College established an endowed fund for an early career professorship in his name in the Tulane University Physics Department. In 2018, Dr. MacLaren was named Provost at St. Xavier University in Chicago, Illinois. There, he led the Hispanic Serving University in securing its largest federal award, a $3 million Title V grant from the U.S. Department of Education to increase first-year retention and graduation rates. He also expanded graduate programs and transitioned most of them to online formats, and he guided the design of general and developmental education to improve student success and retention. Upon arriving in Annville, Dr. MacLaren initiated a collaborative strategic planning process to identify the college's priorities for the next 3 to 5 years. The strategic plan envisions a vision for LVC to become the regional leader in higher education, known for offering high-quality academic and co-curricular programs in a personalized, inclusive environment that emphasizes career success and personal well-being. Imagine LVC will provide a unifying mission and values along with concrete action steps for LVC to thrive in the future. Welcome, President MacLaren.
Can I get these glasses onto the map? Thank you, Dr. Mark, for such kind words and being such a great friend and colleague for over 30 years. And a heartfelt welcome, too, to Dr. Felicia Brown-Haywood, LVC's first Associate Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Institutional Success. We are so excited to welcome you to the college and the leadership team. To the faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends of Lebanon Valley College, thank you for welcoming the MacLaren family so warmly. I send my deepest gratitude to LVC's trustees, who have been such dedicated thought partners in imagining the college's bright future. I'm especially indebted to Elyse Rogers, our board chair, who has given so much time and energy to helping me hit the ground running. To Skip Missimer, who just introduced me so kindly and who chaired the search committee, and who I've since learned is a fellow beekeeper. To Kathy Bishop, who chaired my transition committee, and to the other members of that committee, your insights and guidance have been priceless to my having a successful first year at LVC. I am humbled to join the distinguished group of LVC presidents who have shepherded this exceptional college for the past 155 years. I especially want to acknowledge my predecessor, Dr. Lewis Evetts Thane, the 18th president of Lebanon Valley College. Dr. Thane, you have been so gracious with your time and counsel throughout the transition and beyond, and it was an honor to join you in charting a course through the early days of COVID that would allow LVC to open for in-person learning last fall. Thank you. The strength and growth of LVC's academic programs, enrollment, and retention increases, and this beautiful campus and facilities reflect your 8 years of leadership and commitment to taking LVC further. Gina and I thank you, and we wish you and Dory and your family all the best. Dr. Steve McDonald, the 17th president of LVC, welcome back to campus. After 6 years as Lebanon Valley College's Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of the Faculty, Dr. Stephen McDonald then served as president of LVC from 2004 until his retirement in 2012. McDonald's years at the Valley were marked by major building and capital projects, as well as the expansion of the college's academic programs. His impact also extended beyond campus into the surrounding community of Annville, where he was able to reestablish strong bonds of mutual trust and respect with the local community. Gina and I look forward to getting to know you and Mary better. And last, but certainly not least, thank you to my family, my wife Gina, and my 3 daughters, Emily, Meg, and Caroline, who have been both an inspiration and support over the years, as well as a sounding board for so many bad dad jokes. My journey from London to Anvil was far from linear, as is probably the case for many people's lives' journeys. Singular events have changed the course of my life in profound, unexpected, and fortuitous ways. At a time when academic jobs in my discipline were scarce, Tulane University offered me a fantastic opportunity. Before arriving at Tulane in August of 1990, I had only visited New Orleans just once for a conference. I was excited to have a faculty position in which I could conduct research, teach undergraduate and graduate students, train graduate students and postdocs, and I loved my job. I must admit the southern heat and humidity took some getting used to, and I had never lived somewhere where there was often such a heavy rain that on occasions students could canoe on the streets the day after. I had yet to understand, however, what catastrophic damage so much water could do. I was happy with my teaching and research, and even enjoyed my time when it was my turn to chair the physics department. A new path to higher education leadership came when a colleague in the theater department at Tulane, unbeknownst to me, suggested me as a candidate for associate provost. What a great job. As a tenured professor, if I didn't like the opportunity, I could just go back to my original position in the physics department. It turned out that I immensely enjoyed working across the university with the faculty, deans of Tulane schools and colleges, and student leaders. Those leadership experiences energized me and gave me new insights into how my career in education could benefit students and transform lives and communities. Everything was going well at Tulane in the early 2000s. Our enrollments were strong and growing, and we had emerged from some financial challenges. Then, late in August of 2005, a tropical storm named Katrina crossed the Florida peninsula and emerged into the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Katrina was initially projected to turn eastwards into the Florida panhandle near Tampa. But high pressure over the United States and ideal conditions for strengthening caused that storm to explode into a large and dangerous Category 5 hurricane that was now tracking right towards New Orleans. Tulane packed up students and bused those that couldn't go home to Jackson, Mississippi. My family and I left New Orleans with our family pets, a Great Dane and 2 guinea pigs, and headed to meet colleagues and students in Jackson. Over the next few days, we watched the news in disbelief as the levee system failed, causing flooding of about 80% of the city of New Orleans. It was clear that we were going to be displaced for some time. The MacLarens relocated to Houston to join Tulane's core leadership team, and I set to work with my colleagues on the high-stakes task of rebuilding a university. I am so thankful for the leadership and mentorship of President Scott Cowart and my colleagues, including Dr. Rebecca Mark. It took a lot of hard work to re-envision and rebuild, but we did it. We brought Tulane back to the world to offer an even higher quality, supportive and inclusive education to our students. I'm recounting this story for you today because I learned many lessons from that time of crisis, and among them are 3 principles that define my leadership approach. I believe they will resonate with you because they very much reflect the LVC community's values and practices. The first principle is this: always value the importance of people and community. Relationships and trust are the currency that allow us to go beyond the immediate, to look further out and successfully plan for the future, and then to work together to achieve that future. Relationships and community are intrinsic to LVC. I could sense that in the early conversations with the search committee. The more I learned about the college and the more of you that I met, the more in awe I became of the genuine warmth and regard that members of the LVC community have for one another. An organization that values trust and grace is on course to achieve its vision. LVC has that ethos. The second principle I've embraced as a lesson of the Katrina recovery process is this: in times of duress, the need to take care of oneself and care for each other takes on greater significance. The world is barely beginning to comprehend the physical and mental health ramifications of the pandemic. As LVC's leader, I will ensure that the resources, programs, and policies are in place to support wellness and well-being, from psychological and physical health to students' financial education to employee support and investment. We've already been through significant challenges together, and so the third principle I will share with you today is the principle that drives my optimistic outlook on life and work. The principle is this: out of crisis, seek opportunity. When unexpected dark times occur, they force us to reevaluate everything, to take 5, 10, or even 100 steps back, to consider the new, better ways we might approach our lives and work. To acknowledge that, yes, these times are traumatic and uncertain, and also now is the time for hope, vision, and imagination. Now we will plan for better days and better ways of being. Colleges that thrive in the coming years will have a clear vision and a financial sustainability, and they will innovate while staying true to their mission and values. This is why I initiated the Imagine LVC strategic planning process during a pandemic in my rookie year as a college president. We planned for the worst regarding the pandemic, and then we did more than hope for the best. We engaged in deep, intensive dialogue about what LVC stands for, how should we invest our time and our resources, and how can we shine even brighter. The college community joined together, albeit remotely, in late 2020 and in the spring of 2021, to define the college's path to the future. Among the questions discussed, what do we stand for as a community? What will we do over the next 3 to 5 years that allow us to outperform our competitors and educate our students to go further and achieve more than they ever thought possible? Building on great prior work, including the Envision 2020 strategic plan and the One Campus Master Plan, the community coalesced around a mission, vision, value set, value proposition, and action items that are authentic to LVC, ambitious, and energizing. The result, a data-informed, focused, inspiring strategic plan that leaves room for agility as circumstances changed. We seized the opportunity to articulate how we, together, will achieve the ideal version of how to prepare students for lifelong personal and professional success. Upon reviewing the Imagine LVC plan in the context of these remarks, I noticed that they are there. The 3 principles of community, care, and opportunity that I outlined a minute ago underpin the strategic plan. You can hear them echoed in the community's shared values, placing students at the center of every decision, broad and deep learning, critical thinking, communication, analytical and creative skills, inclusive excellence, mentorship, health and wellness, kindness, community and relationships, service and global citizenship, adaptability and innovation, environmental sustainability, and shared governance. You can see the commitment to community care and opportunity threaded through and threading together the strategies and tactics of Imagine LVC. Among them, we will establish a distinctive integrated career counseling and vocational exploration model. The Edward and Lynn Breen Center for Graduate Success will facilitate many of these efforts, but they will also be infused and embraced throughout our campus culture. We will enhance our ecosystem of highly personalized engagement and support for students. This ecosystem includes building on powerful academic support and retention work, addressing equity gaps in student enrollment and outcomes, building a wholly inclusive and welcoming community, and offering high-quality educational programs that prepare students for succeeding in in-demand careers and becoming forces for good in society. We will ensure that an LVC education is affordable and accessible. Scholarship resources must increase, and we will embrace open-source learning materials as a start. We must get creative and establish a viable model that contains families' debts and builds a firewall between LVC's financial future and the discount wars destabilizing higher education. We know that the economy will continue to change rapidly, and there will emerge sectors of the job market with high demand. That is why we'll continue to build out undergraduate and graduate academic programs that prepare students to fulfill the needs of employers, and society. The new Nursing Bachelor of Science program, Masters of Clinical Mental Health Counseling, and the Master of Science in Intelligence and Security Studies are excellent examples. They are proof of the power of staying alert for opportunities and then moving quickly and thoroughly to create new mission-aligned programs that prepare students for meaningful work. In imagining the future of LVC, I found it fun to think about how to prepare students for careers in sectors that don't exist right now. Skill in advancing and emerging technologies will be crucial for students to address complex issues. Thus, we will establish a digital learning commons that prepares students for future work environments. The second floor of the Bishop Library will become a hub for technology, interdisciplinary learning, design thinking and innovation, with an associated makerspace. We will focus on advanced technologies such as virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and emergent technologies with transformational potential. I see LVC integrating digital learning commons programming and opportunities with curriculums across disciplines. As a physicist, I'm comfortable saying that achieving what we've imagined is not rocket science. LVC is well positioned to lead the way in delivering a distinctive, highly effective model of education. Our successes in recent years include enrollment and program growth, significant retention gains, expanded brand recognition, new and upgraded facilities, national and international student awards, and the development of outstanding academic and career support services, among many other points of pride. We have several friends of the college joining us from the Anvil, Lebanon, and Central Pennsylvania region today. Know that LVC is committed to forging more connections with our elected officials, businesses, nonprofits, schools, and community organizations. Mutually beneficial partnerships will help us all thrive together. As your leader, I commit to assessing and continually refining our plans as circumstances shift around us. I commit to transparency and collegiality at all levels of operations, leadership, and governance. I promise to guide LVC in alignment with our mission and values, holding fast to the principles of community, care, and opportunity. I am honored and humbled to have been chosen by the Board of Trustees as the 19th president of this esteemed institution of higher learning. Lebanon Valley College is a special place with a beautiful campus, extraordinary faculty and staff, and talented, caring students. The MacLarens feel fortunate to be with you. We've imagined LVC's future. Let's go there together.
Good afternoon. 5 sonnets on dreaming, after Rupert Brooke. 1. Come autumn, we put the gardens to bed, turning gently under spent stems, bare stalks, whatever's left. The leaves already shed into bright jewels crackling beneath our walks past the old parts of the year. Everywhere, though, the promise of the new. Seed heads spread, the milkweed down drifting clear, the maple keys all paper-winged and spun to earth. There are few simple joys quite like throwing these little propellers up, out, and watching them descend. There's time alike to make a wish and calculate the route. Whatever path it charts, our next steps, lovely clock for dreaming what one seed, one key unlocks. 2. with a line after Toni Morrison. She said, and she would know, for those rising into positions of trust and power, let us dream a little before we think. Let the dream be large, dreamy, surprising in grace and scope. Make a tree big enough to shade everyone who comes, no pruning it narrow. A dream is a tree, no hedge dividing this yard from that. It is such a great privilege and honor, dream making. What is built here builds a future for more. We, here, are beholden to this ideal, to nurture each other, firmly staking a claim to include and thereby excel. What we imagine, with care, we do well. 3. A pelican does not, mythology aside, feed her own young from her own torn breast, slake their thirst without thought for her own. Agree, though, we are here to give more than we take, to create what will endure and sustain not simply us, not simply now. The bald cypress grows despite high water, the pain of salt and wind to root and branch, the scald of summer. Buttressed like a cathedral, it is an anchor. So too, a college. Here, this one, deep-rooted and serving all, pursuing truth, the arts, science, knowledge not for its own sake, but the light it brings, to lift ourselves and others up like wings. 4. There is no bridge from dream to plan to life save work, hands and minds and hearts together. When Katrina landed, the need ran rife not only to rebuild, but regather, re-see and remake, remind each other of the needs so much greater than our own. Those needs remain, no matter the weather, the place, the shape of the disaster. No community is exempt. In calmer times, too, the call is as strong as ever, not to wait until the spotlight's amber points, but seek out new challenges, procure new allies in action, hear their insight. We know, with many hands, the work is light. 5. If we are all the things we've ever loved, Morrison again, our task is easy. By loving well, loving widely, we prove ourselves equal to the work. We increase ourselves, become better, more ready for this world and all it offers. And the world is many-leaved, many-branched. We ensure, it is our duty, that those who leave our fold can walk confidently, gently therein, charting their varied courses and planting their own seeds, growing, shading, sheltering. Welcome every day for consecrating ourselves to the tasks, truths, purpose that feeds the open vision the best dreaming needs. Please stand for the presentation of the Lebanon Valley College alma mater, performed by members of the LVC Chamber Choir.
And now, as we go from here, President MacLaren, may your deep wisdom, your strong resolve, and your compassionate heart continue to lead us forward as together we realize the bright future of this institution. And LVC community, may we all go from here filled with an honest hope and anticipation as we look toward tomorrow. May we each live out and live into the college's mission, all in our particular ways, and may our voices and our actions be our clearest evidence of a genuine commitment to the learning and the well-being of not only our students, but to all people. To echo President MacLaren, we have indeed imagined LVC's future. Let's go there now, together. Please join us on the academic quad as we continue the celebration.